Just Eff It. Hi, I'm Romy, an identity coach helping others who struggle with their sexual identity and families of queer youth find their path of understanding and acceptance.
And I'm Carla, a mom empowerment coach empowering moms to own their new identities and motherhood journeys.
And together we are the EFFing Madres. We are here to invite you guys into stories of some inspiring madres
who have changed their lives through an Eff It moment. So here we go. Just Eff It.
Hi, happy Monday, everybody. We are the EFFing Madres, and we are two mamas, two girl moms, two best friends who jump on here every Monday to chat with other madres about their EFFing moments. And an EFFing moment, Carla, right, is when we basically say Eff it and walk through something scary and hard and challenging. And so I'm Romy. This is Carla. This is what we do. We have a special episode, though, today. Carla, what are we doing today?
So today we're doing a flashback montage of, like last time we did it all, the Eff It moments of a lot of the mothers that we had on. Today is going to be a montage of all the advice from a lot of these madres. And it might sound weird at first because like you haven't heard their episode, but it makes sense. I was listening to everything yesterday and it's like, as they go through their advice, you understand what they're saying. And it all is all relative, honestly. Like it doesn't matter, like, one of them talks about adoption, but like it's still very much like do you and all that sorts of stuff. So there's takeaways in everything that they say. So we thought it'd be nice to share that with everyone because these moms have gone through these things and they've learned something and they just wanted to share.
Perfect. I think it's great. I think the ending part is always my favorite when they leave their little message for the world. So this is a great way to be inspired and hear a bunch of moms who've said Eff it leave you with a little bit of advice.
Yes.
My last question then would be, what message of empowerment would you give to your children and the people listening in regards to this?
Do what's going to be the best for you and makes you happy. What works for your family, other people aren't going to agree with, and people are going to tell you you're wrong, but those people aren't in your inner circle. And the people that are, the people that matter, your foundation of your family, that's what you need to work on. Not everybody else's outside noise, just who's in there. Be genuine to what you guys need, not versus trying to appease everybody who's telling you everything you should be doing.
A mom out there feeling like you in her postpartum, in that emptiness. What do you tell her? What do you want to say to her?
I just want to say that be kind to yourself and be forgiving. Stop trying to think like you have to be this out of body, like incredible, angelic human being. You're just a human and you're just born. Like a mother is just born. So I feel like we need to tell every woman that you're just born just like that baby. But that baby only needs milk to survive. But you need to figure out your entire life again. So I wish if people were kinder to women and tell them that you don't even know who you are and it's okay. Instead of telling them this is a normal thing. It happens every second a million times. Women are giving birth all day long. Like when I was going through miscarriages and ectopic pregnancies, so many people told me, "Oh my God, yeah, it happens all the time." I'm like, but not to me. Like
Right.
I don't know who I am. 12 weeks, I've lost a baby. I have a child. My body doesn't feel the same. I'm like just losing my mind. So much is going on. I just feel like why do women are made to feel like they need to be some kind of superheroes? Don't be. You're not a superhero. And that's it.
What would you say to any moms out there, not even moms, I guess, at this point, but more of any women out there, because this has been a different story too, that are thinking about wanting to start their own family on their own or wanting to become moms on their own? I think this is more common than not right now, and not just for queer women, for all women.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because when I came out and I was like 18 and I had this conversation with my mom, she's like, well, I know you want to have a baby. Like, what will you do? And it's funny because my 18-year-old self said this to her, and I would say this even now, is that, I end up getting really lucky by being able to have a wonderful partner that I met while I was pregnant, which was not part of the plan, right? But so doing it alone as a single mom is hard. It is so hard. It is beyond. But I don't believe that waiting for the right person or the right circumstance necessarily. I mean, we can build that as best as we can, but it's never going to be perfect enough, right? And I think that if that is your heart's desire and your soul's desire, just make it happen. I say, it's like F it and just do it. And for me, it was like taking that leap, and I'm only speaking from my own experience, but taking that leap, doing it on my own, because I know I needed to, and it's what I really, really wanted. Everything else like fell into place after that,
I think that's what happens though.
Yeah.
When you really want something and you're going after that, everything does align if that's what you want. So I think that's great advice.
Live your freest self. Find your freest self and live it.
Yes.
And
Yes,
that
yes,
can
yes.
take a whole lifetime and it can change. But find where that free self is hiding and let her out.
Fuck yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. What advice would you really say to somebody who's listening, who's trying for a family and it's not happening?
I mean, if you want it bad enough, you keep trying. I mean, we have a family that we know, and they've been trying to adopt for, multiple miscarriages, multiple stillbirths, and their adoption journey right now, it's really hard. But I mean, they put the work in, and, donations and all kinds of stuff. I mean, if you want it, just don't, it doesn't have to be your baby blood or this or that. There's resources out there. I mean, foster care, it's hard, but I mean, you could find the ones that are going to stay in the system, that parents have maybe passed away. They're not going to go back home. And then if it doesn't work out, I mean, there's a reason for it. You might have to wait a year or two to figure out what that reason is. But there's one day you'll look back and be like, this is why that never happened. This is why it didn't work out.
But we're really big into listening to the universe, and then communication is key. We pride ourselves on our marriage communication. We get complimented on it all the time. Like, if you asked our boys, our biggest fight was over a stupid bath towel. Like, it was so silly. And
in the past, 2 years.
And after the third time we did it, we decided it was going to be our last time. And when it came back negative, at first I was sad, but then, I mean, she's my rock. She helped me we turned everything into a positive note. So you can take anything negative and find something positive from it. So that's just...
And reach out too. Like, if you don't know what to do, there's resources out there. Just Google, research, Instagram, TikTok, so many mental health, or there's women out there that are, I'm able to follow now that are artistic and autistic, which is nice because being recently diagnosed as an adult and finally understanding, this is why I'm so freaking weird sometimes.
I love her because she's weird.
But I can embrace it now, and honestly, I feel better because I'm not like, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with me. I got these weird little
overstimulated.
I get overstimulated. Yes.
Don't look at the ground. I would say that's what I did all the time. I just looked at the ground. I didn't want I feel like I looked at the ground because I thought maybe if I didn't make eye contact with people, they wouldn't see me. It's just very strange. I wanted to feel invisible. I didn't want anyone to notice me. So maybe if I didn't look at them, they couldn't see me. So I think that kept me in a little shell, and my kids were not seeing me as this confident leader who is proud of my choice. My choice is to remain single until I find the person that is right for me. And I should be proud of that. I shouldn't feel ashamed of it. So that's what I would say. Just chin up always.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's great advice. So, Mom, what advice would you give to a mom who comes across something like this on her journey? What advice would you give to her when she's, I guess, in that hospital and gets the news of something like this? Or, what would you say to them?
Do not give in to any of the bad news, to continue to just believe, do as much research as you can for yourself, because doctors talk in their language. So you need to do your due diligence to understand what it is, but don't give in to the fear, because if you do, you're not going to be able to show up, and everything you feel your child feels. So pray, and believe. Just believe. Just believe, believe, believe. No matter what they tell you, I'm not saying ignore, just believe. So every time they gave me bad news, I would take it in. I would do my research on what they were telling me. And I would also look at the positive parts, people that survived.
What would you tell your past self, right? When you were having that moment, what advice, if you were looking at her now, would you tell her?
Like in the moment of when I
Yeah.
decided, or
Yeah, when you decided to go after this.
yeah, I mean, I would tell her to keep going. Number one, I would tell her, that she is worthy of money. I would tell her, because, I think back to your first question, Romy, of like, what were some of the hurdles? And everyone thinks that the biggest hurdle to starting a business is money. They're like, I don't have the money. It's like, I know that you think that is your biggest hurdle, and it is one of the hurdles, but the biggest hurdle is you not believing that you deserve that.
I was just going to say that. And I struggle with that. We talked with Linda about that. So many of us have a fear of money, and so many of us who come from, I was, a kid on welfare with my mom at one point. I'm a Mexican, I didn't think I deserved that money. And I still struggle with the story of I am worthy of success. I am worthy of money. I'm afraid of money. Thank you for saying that, because that's a hurdle that so many have.
Yes. And I still see that reflected in my journey now. Like when Nopalera, when we launched and, we started to have sales. And I remember when we had our first $40,000 month, and I was so excited, like, oh my God, we just made $40,000 in a month, which by the way is not all profit, right? So that's just, but we had our first $40,000 month, and I shared, and I had my Shopify on my phone, and I showed my dad, and he literally gripped his chest, and like, I thought he was like having a heart attack. And I was like, what, he wasn't like, oh, congratulations, I'm so proud of you, Mika. His response was, oh my God, that's such a huge responsibility. And in that moment, I learned so much about my own money wounds and journey and thoughts, that like we have been taught to view money as this problem.
Yeah.
And that money, and what I had to come to terms with is that not only was I like scared of money, because it's like you want money, right? Like you want to pay your bills. You don't want to be anxious about how you're going to survive. But at the same time, you don't want too much, because then you don't want people to judge you. You don't want to be able to have to lose it, right? Because the more you have, the more you have to lose. And what if people come after you, right? Because they know you have money and all of these things, right? And so this idea that like more money, more problems, right, was so embedded, I think. And also I had to come to terms with the fact that I was mad at money, which is different than like being scared of money, like mad at money. Like, why aren't you here? Like, why don't you stay? How come you always leave? And coming to terms with the reality that we all have a relationship with money. And so what is your relationship with money? Are you mad at it? Because like, if you're mad at Carla, does Carla want to come to your house? Like really being clear about like money is just it's just energy, right? Like we just use it to exchange goods and services with each other, right? And so money is an energy.
We have it all within ourselves. And my legacy is that I never just hung it up. I never stopped growing. I was always committed to being the best version of myself, and whatever that looks like, and being kind, living from love, living my values, being honest, and being just truly a person that gave love to others. I think that that's it. It's about love. I don't want to hold back. I don't want to keep anything from anyone. I want to check in with myself, and I want to just truly love people unconditionally and let go of judgments and all those things. And I hope that my kids can say that about me after I'm gone.
I'm sure they will.
And
Oh yeah.
thank you. That's who I truly want to be. It's not about oh, she did this and she did that and she had a million downloads or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not those numbers. It's not that. Nobody's checking your bank account at your funeral. And
Amen.
Yeah.
so I think it's really like I walked the walk of what I talked about. And that is who I strive to be. That is my legacy. Thank you for asking that, because I was like, oh gosh, what is it?
I have a difficult time right now offering advice or direct feedback to people like that, because I don't know what's best for people. And that's something I've been learning through my kids. Like, I have so many messages I want to give them. I have so much I want to tell them. And I don't know what your journey is. I don't know what you're supposed to go through to become the best version of yourself. And I've had to learn to sit. I think my message really has been for myself is to not take the first think. If I follow my train of thought, it will be a train wreck. I need to sit back. I need to just witness and watch and let others do what they need to do, right? What's best for them at that moment. I don't know. I have no idea. And that's really hard work, because I have an agenda for the people I love, which is to not see them in pain, because that hurts me. So I think I'm like, no, don't. Like, my son is getting ready to embark on a big journey, and I have so many things I want to do and say about that. And sitting is the message. It's just let this person go through
Figure it out.
figure it out. And it's hard. And I have to figure out myself in those moments. Like, I'm just constantly making U-turns right now. Constantly making U-turns.
Well, this would lead me then to the final question, Aunt Mary, and that is, your kids are older. You are a mom. This is a space by moms, for moms. So let's just get into that lesson too. What lessons do you want to leave behind for your kids?
I hope that they can take from me some of my strengths, some of my fearlessness. Hopefully, as I'm getting older, as some of the grace I'm developing and learning to embrace more. And for them, it's, you always wish this could happen sooner for your kids, but for them to continue to find their own voice in their own way, and have the strength to do that, and be true to themselves, as true as they can be, as soon as they can be that. In their journeys. Like you said, life is short, and all we have in the end is who we are, our integrity, or whatever our beliefs. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you even saying, with Tracy and watching her as a mother and watching her go back to school, and this is, we're talking about women, we're talking about moms, and you get to see that in her, that's like beautiful to be able to see. I'm sure her as an adult.
Yeah, she's amazing. She is fearless. She's amazing. I have enormous respect for her, and enormous love and respect for her. She's, she inspires me at times. Because she's been more fearless sooner than I ever was.
But that's good though. She's learning. She's learning all that from you earlier on.
Yeah, maybe that would be cool.
Yeah. She's obviously seen it from someone, and it's probably you.
But that's a thing, like you, Romy and I have talked about this, but you grow up with trauma, whatever, and you hope that your job as being a parent, or at least my hope always was, that I was going to do better than what I experienced, and that my daughter does a better job than me. And she does. And I love, nothing makes me happier to watch that generational change taking place, and that it's not the same, that there's a huge difference between when I was a kid and her kids that are, her children, which is what you hope for.
Prior to now being in this, like, what would you go back and tell yourself when you guys were making this big move? What would be your advice to yourself?
Lean. Okay, I'll go. I would say that it gets way better. Like, this is not permanent, and that you will be able to develop the skills that you need to handle all the hard situations. And it's worth it. Don't give up. You're a good person. Don't believe the haters. You know, just be my own cheerleader, really, because it's not like there's nothing to like necessarily save you from all the pain. And you know, it's hard to think about myself at that point because I didn't know what was coming. I didn't know how hard it was going to be, and I also didn't know how beautiful it was going to be either. It's been really incredibly like just I've had experiences I could have never dreamed of having before, you know? And I'm really thankful, and I would just like be that older sister type, you know, person that's just like, you're fucking amazing and you got this and don't ever forget it, you know?
When you push through the fear, you don't know what's on the other side, right? Like you don't know
Yeah.
what's going to come when you push through that. That's kind of the beauty in it.
Yeah,
at
it
times.
sounds very bittersweet. Like
Mhm.
it's very hard but very beautiful at the same time.
Yeah. I think for me, it was just, there was so much freedom in letting go of the rigidity of religion and living in a box, that like the freedom is on the other side of discomfort. And to just remind myself that anytime it gets hard, that I wanted this. I want to feel free. I want to be able to just like be as close to my highest self as I possibly can for more minutes of my day. And that I can tolerate the discomfort and move through hard things and not have to have all the answers like laid out for me, you know?
Freedom through the discomfort is such a beautiful way of saying it. Like you really do, if you work through that discomfort, you really do get to the other side, but you just have to get through that.
Yeah.
What advice would you give a mom right now that is going through this? Like, what would you tell her?
There's always a way out. I think I can understand different situations, but I think when it comes to like being with an abusive partner, I remember when it happened, I would randomly talk about it on my Instagram. So many women would reach out where they're like, I have a kid, and like they were living in like a poor country, and I have, you know, I think getting out of those situations, it may not ever make sense, but I think life will guide you through and out. You know, there's always a way out. You may have to suffer for the moment, but like staying in those situations, you're never fully trapped. I think number one, like, and also just like putting on your, like, look at your child at the end of the day, like no child deserves to be in that situation. At the end of the day, it is your responsibility as a mother. And I think that was huge for me, is like, shame on me if I allow my kid to see this, you know? So there is a way out, I think, no matter what the situation is. So I guess that's my advice, is get out.
You're worth fighting for.
Boom! Amazing.
You're worth fighting for. And that is something that no one can tell you. You have to believe when you're in that darkness and in that pit. You know, I've had some bad times, and it doesn't matter what anyone was saying to me. I have to believe that I'm worth fighting for.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yes. What advice would you give to other mothers, other Christians, people of faith in any realm of this? Like, what advice would you give to somebody who's in that moment you were in, you know, like how to get there, how to have that moment, what to do?
I would just say that it's important to have community. Us moms, we need each other. And to be real, to be honest. Like, I think in church communities, so often we can be really fake. We can act like, you know, because we feel like we have to. We have to put on this front. And that's where my husband and I are at, really. He works for a great Christian label. He's killing it over there. But we have this feeling of like, we just want people to come over, to be real, to be authentic. Like, we aren't the super religious types, you know, where we have to put on this fake front, you know. So for me, I'm not saying that to be judgmental. I'm just saying that the community of Christ or any religion, I think it's important to just be authentic and talk about whatever you're feeling in the world. And hopefully we get to a place where we're not judging each other. we're just curious about learning each other's stories and learning from each other. And that's the ultimate goal for me, because I think, it's hard to feel like you have to put on this fake front to be accepted.
We hope you enjoy the episode. And remember, please subscribe. We don't say that actually a lot on the podcast,
thank
but
you.
yeah, please subscribe to our channel. Like, leave us a comment on our like Apple or Spotify. That would be really helpful. We also have merch. We haven't promoted that in a while, but we have really cool merchandise. We should do t-shirts because it's hot right now.
I know, we should. We definitely should.
Yeah. But anyway, hope you guys enjoy. Have a nice week.